Night shines, brightens each sensation, darkness stood, makes imagination, silently the senses abandon their defenses.
Matt Ramsay,
Simon,
great to get you here at last.
thank you very much.
You have no idea how difficult it's been to get a hold. See, with these agents of yours, I've been through all these tiers of agents for different things that you do. You're a singing agent,
I
you're
don't know about that.
your football agent. I think he's sacked after your performance today. Did you enjoy the wee kickabout today with us?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was,
Good to watch, was it, over there in the wing?
I tried to come inside a wee bit and see if I could get a touch of the ball. But
You used to join in, and I was worried that you might run because you're a lot younger than the rest of us, but there's no concern about that
no,
whatsoever.
certainly not now. That's for sure.
Matt, thanks for coming in to see us. So much we could talk about. But I suppose most people, we've got a lot of new people now in walking football, as you know better than anyone, and they maybe don't know you as well as we got to know you right at the start. So tell us a wee bit about yourself, your upbringing. Where are you from?
From East Kilbride,
Right.
originally. Grew up with kind of obviously family, parents and older brother. Went to
School?
Cross House Primary School,
Right.
East Kilbride, and then on to Ballarat High School before going to college and university to study sports coaching. So that was originally kind of background with that from a
General sports?
yeah, it was focus obviously on football.
Right.
but
Why is that
it was-
obvious?
It was well, that's what I thought I was good at in that case. Maybe not now, but it was one of them where when I was growing up, I used to play for the kind of local boys club, East Kilbride Wanderers.
Right.
Played with them for about 10 years, and during that period, I joined Rangers, and
Okay.
it was with Rangers for 3 years at kind of boys club time, and it was.
Is this Park Rangers? Is this in Hags Park or something like that?
I was with Rangers actually. Like thinking back to that era, it was when the kind of Dutch era
All right.
back
okay.
then. With Dick
yeah.
Advocate, I was the manager, and Jan Dux was the head of youth at the time.
Right.
And I only lasted, I think it was 3 years max.
That's pretty good.
And then
Because they
that
churn
was it.
some out of young players, don't they? Both the old firm teams churned,
Well,
churned them.
At my time, it became very apparent we had maybe their eye on certain players
Yeah.
that they wanted to make sure that they were getting pushed through,
Yeah.
and the rest of us just made up the team.
Made up the numbers. I'll make you feel a wee bit better then. I ran a charity tournament down in Campbelltown for cystic fibrosis, and Rangers sent a representative team. At that time I was in the CID at Govan,
Right.
so I knew Rangers. I worked in Rangers all the time and security things. And they sent a team down to Campbelltown, and they won the final against Hearts, I think it was, 14-0. And I said to one of the coaches on the touchline, there's some players here, because all of them, every one of the Rangers squad you would have thought would make the grade, or could. And he said, Simon, if we get one out of this, that's success. That's a successful season.
Yeah.
So there's such a wastage of talent.
Yeah,
and the one was Stephen Presley, he played that day.
Yeah, 'cause it's funny because when I was always a striker when I was young. I
Right.
was always a striker. And I went to Rangers. They'd obviously seen me. Went to play my first game. I came out, and at that time it was the kind of standard numbers for positions.
And you were 14,
I was
15,
number 2.
right back.
I was playing right back. I played right back in my life. And I
Right.
played right back for 2 years with Rangers.
Right.
And then there was one day in training I get fed up.
They were always in
From
the deep positions.
I know it was very much.
Sticking
And
throwback.
and it was one day in training I get fed up playing in defence, and we're doing a wee kind of condition game, and I just decided to go and stand up front, and it just happened to be by probably complete fluke in that day training. Every time I touched the ball I put it in the net,
Right.
and I get called over by one of the coaches and said, "What? Are you a right back?" And I was just a wee boy, 12-year-old boy. I was like, no. I was like, "Are you a striker?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a striker." And I'm like, "Why are you playing your right back then?" And I was like, "No idea." And that I lasted a year up front. That was me, to be fair.
Yeah.
But
And what did you do after that?
I ended up just after I was playing my local boys club. I ended up just going into the Churches League.
Right.
Played for Kilburnie in the Churches League, and then went to Inverclyde Nazarene as well. And played a few years with them. Got a bad knee injury, which I was out for a year, which completely done in my whole fitness.
Yeah, that
And I
was-
came back and I'd go back to a wee bit of form for a season,
Right.
and then the following year I knew I should have, it was time up.
Yeah.
But I played on, and I wish I hadn't, because it just wasn't enjoyable year. That was me.
And I kept playing in the Gub and hardly walked.
I'm just waiting for when I finally qualify for walking football,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll start that. But the usual then kind of
Well, you're going to have to learn,
family
you're going to have to learn the
situations,
rules as well.
Well,
You know there's rules,
I
eh?
know. Well, I wasn't sure watching some of the stuff I see.
So your career then, did you join Glasgow Life back then?
I joined Glasgow Life in, I think it was 2010 as a
Okay,
football coach.
right.
I was doing originally one session a week, which was at Shawlands Academy on a Friday night, 5:30 to 8:30 I used to do,
Right.
and then gradually built up my hours.
What age group was that then, or was it
That
just
was
general?
mini kickers
Right.
age group, up to kind of 12, 14 year olds at the time, three kind of hour sessions there, and then built up my hours, and then all of a sudden, I think it was maybe 2011, 2012, 2011 I think, I was asked if I could come into the office and give a hand, because the coordinator at the time was going to do maternity cover
Right.
for one of the girls in kind of basketball development. So he was doing that, so they brought me in to give a help with the kind of football coordinating.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then I never left the office.
You eventually got that job.
It was kind of one of them. I came in.
What did you do to stop her coming back?
Well, it was one of them where I'd come into the office and I was splitting my hours over the kind of full time wise. I was half out of
Coaching.
the week coaching and half in the week. And then my boss at the time said to me, Matt, we kind of need somebody like yourself kind of coordinating role coming over the swimming programme.
Right.
Because my obviously coordinator for football at the time was coming back, and she was coming back
Yes.
off maternity, so technically.
So you had a gift for this coordinating.
So, at that time, it was maybe
Not striker, not
No,
fullback,
definitely
coordinator.
It was maybe kind of people skills and working. I would hope.
Right, we'll be the judge of that.
I was hoping that it would be that it would be a case of we kind of need you in the kind of coordinating with the swimming programme. And
Okay.
I lasted a couple of years in there before then getting the job. There was a restructure in the company, and I got the job that I'm currently in.
So the swimming programme, that's the Glasgow Life swimming
Glasgow
programme.
Life
You were in
swimming
charge of
programme.
that, coordinating it.
And the coaches.
On
and
football parks, that's tricky.
everything. There's plenty of divers in there, that's for sure.
So you never look back. So the current structure, is that the same as it's been then since you came in? And Glasgow Life I'm talking about?
It's changed since then, because when I got the job I was in, which I'm currently in, which was in 2016, I think it was 2016.
That's your full-time football.
Yeah.
What's your full title?
Football participation officer.
Okay, I'll
So
not
what-
try and say it.
In 2016 there was 2 football participation officers and a coordinator
Right.
that sat on one side of the office, and then we had 5 football development officers that sat on the other.
Okay,
Now, for various reasons and a further restructure,
1 and 2.
we've now got a football participation up and 2 development officers.
Okay, and that's in the Emirates.
Yeah.
And is all the structure still in place? Tell us a bit about the football development then, because it goes from nappy to nappy, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
So what is that progression that's available for
Yeah,
people?
it's pretty much, my role obviously stems from the 18 months old
Okay,
kids who go along to those sessions, and then we kind of go up to 12 years old for participation sessions.
okay.
We then have...
So that's the tiny tots, that's
Yep.
the smallest?
Yep,
Up
tiny
to
tots.
5?
18 months to 3.
3,
Mini
okay.
kickers takes over.
Mini kickers to
4
5.
5.
Right.
Yeah. Creative players 6 to 8, and then our soccer school 9 to 12.
Okay,
So we have that, we 18 months to 12 years. After that, we do have a bit of a gap, but there's other things with regards to other
schools
programmes. We
and
do
programmes and
schools
things.
and
You
that.
go out to the schools, your coaches go out to the
Yeah.
schools. Do you miss the coaching? Obviously
Not,
not. That quick
not as
response.
much as I thought I would.
Right,
I think I got to that part when I was splitting my hours over out in the schools coaching and then coming into the office. I eventually found that I was enjoying being part of the office and doing development stuff.
Right.
Where I was developing new programmes and kind of looking after staff and managing staff. I kind of enjoyed that more than going out coaching.
okay.
I think for a lot of coaches, they maybe have a bit of a sell-by date on certain programmes,
Okay.
and we tend to find that as well. So I think I was getting to that point where I was needing to move on.
Good. So 12 years of age and then it's the schools kind of kick in. When did walking football come into the picture? Was that was that your innovation?
No, not for Glasgow. We had before me and before I kind of grabbed it with two hands in a way. In 2016, we had one session a week, which was at Glasgow Green
Okay.
on a Wednesday.
In 2016.
Pre that.
Right.
So I would say, I can't remember exactly when we started in Glasgow, I would probably say maybe between 2013, maybe
Okay.
2013, 2014.
You started that?
Glasgow did it themselves, Glasgow Life. And we had
Okay.
the one session a week at Glasgow Green.
Okay. And were the rules what we know of as now, the three touch and all that? Was it the
No.
same? No?
It was just a broad range of what walking football.
Okay, it was just build walking football,
Yeah.
but there was no structure to it or anything.
Not as far as I'm aware.
Any coaches could take it.
Yeah, there was a guy who had an interest in it and was based at Glasgow Green. He looked after it on a Wednesday. And walking football didn't sit with our team.
2013, God, Russell was only in his 60s. That's how far back we're going here.
but it would have been a case of back then. I think there was about 30 guys that turned up on a week-to-week basis. We didn't really, probably as a company, I didn't really know much about it
Okay.
at all. And then it was only when I got my current job in 2016 that it was a case of I started trying to look into what walking football was and what we were doing with it as a company, and it was a case of, well, we just do it on a Wednesday, that's it. Because we had the restructure at the time, the person who looked after it originally had moved on,
Yes.
and it just sat on its own.
Right.
So I quickly grabbed it, and I was
Okay.
like, because I felt myself at the time, we're not doing enough with it.
We ask everyone that comes in here, we ask them this question to see the response that we get, and some of them are very surprising. What did you think? Go back further than that. When you first saw walking football written down on your sheet, what did you think it meant? What did you think of it?
See, I've obviously
You know where I'm
watched,
going
yeah,
here.
I've obviously watched some of the interviews that you've had, and a lot of people naturally who can obviously go in at their age to play the game, I went, oh, not for me. I kind of felt as if it intrigued me for the fact that I kind of felt maybe it's a new avenue to get people playing.
Revenue, you mean? A new stream of revenue? You
O-
see your
only-
administrators?
Only I would only say that revenue as in once I eventually saw the potential of development in it.
Yeah, for customers
For a
and
new
clients.
programme.
Yeah.
Yeah. But originally I just
How
kind
long
of
did that process take then? Did you go and watch it at Glasgow
I
Green?
did.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it once, and I spoke to a couple of the guys who were playing at the time, and then I felt we can really grow this, and we're not doing enough about it.
Okay.
And it came over to me,
Did you get any resistance from within the company?
no,
No?
because nobody was looking after the programme. I just sat there.
So it
one
was
session
kind of
a
do what
week.
you like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Ambivalent, really?
and for the fact it was a participation session,
Mm-hmm.
it was a customer basis, it was participation, it had the perfect fit to come to.
Let me
to
ask you a
ourselves.
question, a serious question, because I had an experience on Friday where I took some of the lads after Bellahouston for a coffee, and all the guys that came were single guys or bereaved guys or on their own basically, and they all came, and they would still be there if we would sat long enough. And it's a part of walking football that I'm quite passionate about. I know you get that. Do the company get that? Do Glasgow Life understand what we're doing here, apart from kicking a ball about in the park?
I would say more now
Right?
than what it was years ago, definitely.
If you left tomorrow, if you got promoted, just realised what I said. Would the company still support walking football the way you do?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Because I feel as if that the company now, Glasgow Life, really value what we do for walking football. And they are very aware of the impact that it can have on people. However, I think it's the exact same as when we talk about walking football to anybody. It's not until you come along and experience it and you fully get it.
Yeah, especially the social side that I'm getting at, that's important. And the reason I'm saying it, as you know, is because Glasgow Life don't lay on the biscuits and tea. That was part of the walking football experience for people, especially new people, because they come along and they don't know anyone. I'll meet them. If we're lucky, they'll get a minute with me before the game because I'm setting up cones and doing stuff. By the end of the game, I've forgotten their name anyway, and they can slink off without anybody speaking to them because it's football.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can say to them at the start, listen, stay behind and I'll get your details afterwards. We have a coffee next door. And it brings them into the group because somebody's going to say, where are you from?
Yeah.
Who do you support? Did you see the Rangers gave you stuff? You know, that kind of stuff.
And I think the good
that
thing
was a
is,
serious question, by the way.
and I think the good thing with that,
Jim Russell made me ask that.
and I think the good part with that is we are nearly there, and we've nearly sorted that part
Right.
now, which is from my
I know
side.
that COVID has been a
positive
huge
thing.
issue with it, yes.
And there's been very well. There's been other politics that have come into play with things.
Okay.
That we're nearly through now, and we're managing to get to that part. And I think over the next month, I'm hoping. I don't want to make any false promises, but I'm hoping within March we can see the return of the after bit, shall we say?
And that coffee that we had on Friday cost me £10.20, by the way.
So you're putting a timesheet in for that? You're not putting a timesheet in for this, are you?
You're here, you won't know. So, looking at the bigger picture then, well, let's go from 16, that's 6 years, 5 years really, with 2 years interruption in there. That's been a nightmare for everyone involved. Where have we got to now with walking football, from starting off from one session a week at Glasgow Green that was ad hoc? They made it up as they went along, really. What's the structure now in Glasgow and beyond?
Well, obviously going back from...
Well, we'll stick to Glasgow Live for now.
From that one session a week, we quickly... I'd gone for it and went, right, we need to go and do something different now. And we had obviously the Glasgow Green session. And the very first session we introduced after that was the Kelvin Hall.
Right.
We introduced that session, which was our first indoor venue. And again, it offered other opportunities because we had meeting rooms. We could also use the library and all that in there as well. So that was a kind of new one. And off the back of that,
and that kind of brings the Glasgow Life membership into it, because there's a gym next door and all the facilities that go along with that.
And that was then the key for me then to look citywide with the programme.
Did we have a membership at that time? Like now it's £15 a month.
No.
There was nothing like that. You paid for each session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was. If you had a full Glasgow club membership at the time, walking football you got part of, then that was like £30-35 a month. And then it was only once we had established our programme quite significantly when we had sessions at Drum Chapel and we had.
So there was Glasgow Green, Kelvin Hall was successful, obviously, oversubscribed.
Yeah, it was good sessions at times.
Bella Houston next.
Bella Houston, Drum Chapel, Maryhill, Tollcross.
Okay.
All these venues.
They all came on pretty quick.
Yeah, and it was a case, kind of pre-COVID wise, we were sitting around about the kind of 12 sessions a week.
Okay.
Obviously then COVID hit and killed the whole.
Stone dead. Yeah.
And it's taken a long time to get back to where we are now. But we are now roughly about 13-14 sessions a week.
New session starting tomorrow.
And with a new session.
Yeah. And the model of partnership that you've included along the way there, where you've got Pollok United, Harmony Row, Clyde tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's one I'm missing in there as well. There's another one that I'm...
Drum Chapel United.
Drum Chapel United.
St Anthony's.
Oh, St Anthony's now as well. I try not to talk about them.
But that was literally a model though that came off the back of, we were the only real provider of walking football in the city, and we kind of felt we needed potential opportunities to tap into different markets to bring more people into walking football. So we went to clubs, and clubs also came to us saying, I want to do a walking football session, but you guys have got the expertise in it.
Yes.
And we said, well, rather than doing them as two separate sessions or in competition, why don't we just work on them together?
Yeah.
And it was a case of offering some clubs, we have sessions currently there, do you want to buddy up and partner with it? And then they signpost their own club fans, or if it's a case of grandparents, parents or whatever within their kids sections, and hope that they'll generate an interest to bring more people into the programme. And
that's progressed to the stage now that we have low intensity, which is open to everyone that doesn't want to chase each other about and get involved in any competitive side of the game. Over 50s, over 60s, over 70s, and we've just finished the over 65s. Why the 50, 60, 70? Was that what everybody wanted? Was that the...
Certainly from Walking Football Scotland, the consensus of the leagues back from last year was that the age groups were too big. 50 to 65 was a huge age gap.
Yeah.
And it felt as if certainly guys who in their 60s, 60 to 65 weren't going
to get in the 50s team.
And they didn't want to participate against guys who were early 50s. So we felt it was the right thing to do. Similarly...
So it's not true, because the rumour is that because the Glasgow 50s team are all turning 60 in the last 12 months, that's not the reason for it, no.
No. Certainly I would love moving forward that that all players would actually, from a safety aspect, play in their age categories and not play down.
Yeah.
Because it naturally, at the 50s at the moment, would be physical.
It's just numbers. And that doesn't take, it's not a lot that happens.
No.
Yeah. But I see your point. Glasgow wouldn't have a 50s team.
That's true.
They're all ancient. So, we've mentioned them there. But your other hat that you wear is with Walking Football Scotland. How old is Walking Football Scotland and when did that association come in?
Walking Football Scotland has been going for a good number of years now.
Right.
And it started in the infancy of Pass for All, looking after walking football
Okay.
and across the country and trying to promote it. They had a development officer that was a case of developing walking football. It then moved to the idea of having Walking Football Network, and it was a link with clubs from across the country.
Okay.
And off the back of that network, it was then a case of, right, let's move now to Walking Football Scotland, and the charity was then formed.
Okay, and that's before your time?
It was before my time, from that part slightly.
Yes.
I was involved in the Walking Football Network.
Right.
And I represented Glasgow when we came to that. Walking Football Scotland was created, and then it was back in, I think, 2019, maybe.
And you went on the board?
I was asked to become a trustee on the board.
Okay. So Walking Football Scotland is the umbrella organisation affiliated to the SFA?
Not quite yet.
Not quite?
But
Okay.
we are the lead body for walking football in Scotland.
Right, that's maybe the term
And
I was looking for.
they do see us as that as well.
Okay. So that's where the rules are laid down and where the format's laid down. And that takes us out with the 12 sessions in Glasgow.
Yeah.
To the whole of Scotland. How many clubs then, walking football clubs?
As far as
are
I'm aware at the moment, there's round about just over the 120 mark.
That are registered with
affiliated
Walking
clubs,
Football?
Yeah, who are registered to Walking Football Scotland.
Does that cost them anything?
At this moment, no. But there is future plans to ensure we can cover costs for.
And what do they get for with their membership? What comes along with that?
It's currently been worked on to
Okay.
look at what's the membership package can be looked upon.
But they have an AGM, you get a vote,
Yeah.
you get a say.
Yeah, it's a kind of member-led organisation. So, what the members want, if there's a majority of vote on that one, then Walking Football Scotland look to deliver that.
Okay.
But they need considerable
And
amount of
entry to
funding.
competitions.
Yeah.
Because Walking Football Scotland run the leagues
Yeah.
in Scotland, the competitive side of it for all those age groups that we mentioned.
Yeah.
Glasgow do that as well with your own competitions. I think we'll stick to our own and you tell us about your baby that you've invented and you're having in April. Tell us about that.
It was a case of seeing there's various events across the world, really, to be honest, that people are attracted to go to. Now, I can't offer probably the same things that the Portugal or the Spanish
Aye.
kind of walking football events offer, considering the weather or whatever.
We've got a big roof.
I know. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create an event where teams could come and potentially be here for a full weekend or a few days. So this year we have the inaugural Glasgow Trophy, it's going to be called. It's a 4-day event in April, the 7th to 10th of April, and it's a case of there's categories of the 50s, 60s, 70s. There's a women's
So
over
the
40s. The Thursday is the over 70s.
Okay.
The Friday is the over 60s. The Saturday is the over 40s ladies and a non-competitive mixed age gender festival.
Yes.
And then the Sunday is the over 50s.
Okay. And there will be trophies involved. No, they're non-competitive.
Non-competitive,
Yeah.
not, but the other ones will be. So at this moment in time, there'll be it's near enough full. We have a couple of teams still.
How many teams?
It'll be about 80 teams.
Wow.
Taking part over the course of the 4 days.
Fantastic.
So it's a really, really good effort
Yeah.
from the teams who are showing interest. But it's certainly, we have teams that are coming from England and Wales that are going to be travelling up.
Good.
And they're going to be taking part. Some of them are doing maybe two of the days. Some
Yes.
of them are just coming
Yeah.
for the
They'll
one.
bring a 50s team and a
Yeah.
60 team or whatever.
Yeah.
And there'll be a clash of rules there as well because there's different setups
Yeah,
all over the
it's going to be
country.
interesting from that part. Certainly, for those teams who are coming from south of the border, I've already sent them the kind of this is the gist of what we do, and thankfully they've replied saying actually it's not too dissimilar. There's a couple of things that's different from what they do, so we're hoping that it'll be a good one.
Fantastic. Best of luck with that, Matt, because I'm away that weekend. You had a festival before that was Walking Football Scotland. I had the festival at Glasgow Green,
Yeah.
the biggest in the world of its
Yeah.
kind at the time. But that was before lockdown. Will we be doing that again?
Yeah, there is.
Because people ask me all the time.
There is plans this year for the June 2022 Scottish Cup and Festival.
That's all in one day.
It is in
It's
one
massive
day.
event,
So
yeah.
it will be. I don't know if I can confirm the venue right at this moment.
Okay.
Although I know I can't. I don't know if I can say it right at this moment. It will be fed out soon.
Right.
I'm hoping, but it will be 50s, 60s, 70s, over 40s ladies, and quite possibly an uncompetitive festival as well. All on the one day.
Superb. I suppose having the football development officer for Glasgow Life, it would be remiss of me not to ask you about the future of Walking Football Scotland, because you're going to dictate it to some degree with the facilities that you lay on, with the access that we have to pitches, with the social side that you've assured me that you're aware of and you're looking at. Where do you see us going from here, Matt?
The biggest thing for me, certainly since lockdown and coming out of lockdown, I can open my eyes to kind of different avenues for walking football, and that's why we then had the Parkinson's walking football.
Of course.
We then went into the dementia walking football as well, and these were avenues that it was separate sessions. It was looking at funding for different programs that we could really open our eyes and open other people's eyes to different styles of walking football. And some of those classes became maybe more walking football exercise classes rather than just turn up, bibs on, play. So, and it's offered a wee bit different from what we normally do, where the dementia one also has kind of football memories after it, and we're in partnership with Football Memories Scotland on that. For me, it's one of them where nationwide it would be great if we could properly get somewhere with the NHS.
Yes.
That it's a case of GPs and
Practice
hospitals
nurses
and
yes,
doctors, surgeries and everything. They're all aware of walking football and the benefits that it offers and the impact that it can have, not just physically but mentally and socially.
Have you heard the term social prescribing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I think of it. Tell us a wee bit about the dementia and Parkinson's then, because it's been going for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
Wednesdays and Thursdays at Tory Glen. Is it having an impact?
I feel that naturally walking football will always have an impact in some level on that one. And the Wednesdays with the dementia programme, we have been working with a lot of care homes who are bringing residents along. I eventually would like to get to the part where it is partners who are just bringing their husband or their wife along, or their family member that's bringing that member along, from a sustainability point of view, because naturally with care homes, come the day, it might be a case of the bus is broken down or the bus is getting somewhere else. We've maybe lost 4 or 5 people that are not attending. So from that part, I would love to get it to there. The Parkinson's one, we have done the kind of testing and the impact that it's having on people. That
in conjunction with Parkinson's Scotland,
yeah, and we just need the information out there. We are working with a few kind of Parkinson's physios as well within the NHS who are kind of referring people into the programme, which is great, but we just need it out there. And that's the key from that message.
Last week we had the tournament on and you asked for some guys to help you to come along to the dementia session, I think it was. And straight away, as always, you get people volunteering straight away to come and help out. And the feedback I got from that was that they really enjoyed the experience of being involved. When my daughter was in York Hill, I used to say that everybody should be made to spend a half day in York Hill Hospital. In fact, it was Derek Ferguson and I that were talking about it recently, because it's so humbling. It makes you appreciate what you've got and how bad things can be. And I think the feedback I got from last Wednesday was the same. Every walking footballer should go and see a session like that and help out.
I think for all the walking footballers, and I take my hat off to all the guys who, with like last Wednesday, we need a bit of help. Can you come? I take my hat off to the guys who have been so willing to come along.
The festival was the same. Everybody mucks
that's
in.
when I always go back.
We're doing a litter pick here in a couple of weeks around the community,
incredible.
and everybody's chucking in to help.
It's incredible. And like that festival that we did have last year for the dementia group, that was massive for those who attended. And I think our own walking footballers got as much from it as well, from being involved. And I do say a massive thank you to all the guys who have obviously came along to kind of help and support us on that.
Brilliant.
But certainly it is a case now for me, getting out there and getting walking football out there from a NHS level and a health, because it is really, it's preventative health. It really is. The more people can attend walking football and get fit and active,
Mhm.
the less time they'll be going to the doctors and needing
Yeah,
hospital.
it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it? For us, anyway.
Yeah.
And as you say, the key is to get people to come and try it.
Yeah,
Just
100%.
come and try it. Yep. Well, Matt, I'd like to thank you, especially.
No, thank
But
you.
I want you to pass your thanks on to your people, the agents who made this all possible, and the contract signed. And it's taken us a long time ago. The paperwork done to get you here.
But even you saying that though, from me, I kind of flipping the coin with that one. It's me that says thank you to you guys, because I put sessions on, but it's you guys that deliver it.
Yeah.
And it's you guys that have the interaction with the customers. And I know this is maybe, you normally get it the other way, that you're talking to everybody else, but it's the impact that you guys have as coaches.
Yeah.
And keep people going, and you keep in contact with them, and it's them that are coming along because of you guys.
And it's for everyone. We all go up together. The tide goes up for everyone together. But you still owe me a tenner for last week.
Thank you.
So